Hello everybody, welcome back. In today's video, I want to discuss about S&P 500 and the key levels that we need to watch for the next week. There are a couple scenarios that could take place, both bullish and bearish. So let's get into it. So let's start with the head and shoulder pattern that we are seeing on the S&P 500 index. As you can see, we have a nice head and shoulder pattern right here. Okay, we got a shoulder, left shoulder, right shoulder, and a head. So some people also call it as an island reversal. The reason they call that is because the market gapped down and formed the head, and the market gapped up and formed the right shoulder. So that's also one way to look at it, but ultimately it's the head and shoulder kind of pattern. So what is this pointing us to? So if I take this distance, this is going to point me where the move can actually materialize. So this is pointing me to this key area, basically the gap that has yet to be filled. Okay, so one good thing that happened in the last week is that we filled this huge gap that we left behind when we were coming down aggressively. Okay, and if you watched any of my previous videos, I was always mentioning this, that these gaps have to be filled sooner or later. And so see, in the next week we just filled one of the gaps. So in the coming week, could we fill this gap? Right? It's very likely. The head and shoulder pattern is telling us that the market could actually bull to this side, okay? And basically at least fill and go up to 4016. But where do you really think the market could actually go, right? We can have some thesis, right? Market will do what it wants to do, but we can at least guess or technically say it would make sense that it could go to this level. So I think the market could actually go to 4082. The reason I say that is couple things. The first is look at all this consolidation right here. A lot of buying and selling here. Okay, so a lot of people are looking at this region. So you got previous support that would become resistance. This is a huge level. I'm going to tell you, so much of buying, selling, right? So previous support becomes resistance, resistance, support becomes resistance, support becomes resistance. So, I mean, you could actually just draw a line right there and say, okay, this is really the level that I'm going to short. And it's important because a lot of people are going to have the same kind of thinking. So when you are at this level, what do you want to be? Either you want to be bullish or bearish, right? Do you want to have calls or short? Most likely you want to short the market, right? Because most people are going to think the same way, right? So that this trade could materialize in your favor. The other reason this could short is because we have this 200 EMA also in that area, and we have this trend line that was formed since March and April. Okay, so it could actually, what we could really do is market could basically, let me draw it for you. So it could actually come back up, okay, fill this gap, and then it could break the trend line, it could break the 200 EMA, okay, it could just slightly, and then basically cause max pain because, or it could actually go a little bit up and then cause max pain and then basically turn around. So, excuse me. So whenever we break a trend line or break a 200 EMA, that's when we talk about max pain, because a lot of people think about, oh, we're going bullish, but no, 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 no. Look at a larger picture. We may be going bearish again. And so this is the bull side, right? We could have this nice move and then basically short. And so when we talk about short, where do you think the market could go back down, right? I think, and this is just my opinion, I think the market could actually come back down and fill these gaps that we have left behind. Okay, so it's never good to leave these gaps because market is going to come back around and fill those gaps like we are doing it here. We have these gaps now filled. We have these gaps now could likely be filled. So we could just basically do this. We could go up and do this. Okay, and where do you think it's going to stop? There could be some here buying, right? But ultimately you have this gap also that needs to be filled. And say, and if we make a lower low after this, right? We don't see some buying here. Where do you think we're going to go? we're going to go to that 3,500 level, which every bond trader is talking about, 3,200 and 3,500. Everybody's looking at that. Why is that such a key level? If you've watched my previous videos, you know that it's a fib. It's a 50% fib level. Okay, where do you think 50 fib is? 3,500. It makes sense, right? So let's go back to 2-hour time frame. So the point is, don't get overly bullish because we are still in a bear market and we are still in a downtrend. Okay, if you get bullish just by looking at these moves, basically you're FOMOing, right? And everybody goes through it. I have gone through it. Everybody goes through it. So this could just be kind of a trend like we saw back here, right? What happened? We were oversold, right, in this move, and then we moved to the trend line and the 200 EMA. Just look at this trend line, 200 EMA, right? We sold heavily down. What are we doing again? We're going back up to the trend line, to the 200 EMA, right? And we could just go back down again to, the key levels. It could basically just do this, doom, right? And so if when we come to 3,500, if we see some kind of pattern like this, we come back down, okay, and then we rally, and when we form some kind of a base, right, we form something like this. That's what we want to see, because then you're going to have this nice higher highs, higher lows kind of situation. So ultimately you want to see a base formation, right? It could be this or this, then we can break out. And just follow the channel, subscribe. We're always going to look at it and we'll let you know, because it's not just the S&P 500. You have to look at other things too, like US 10-year, 2-year, DXY, etc., which I always talk about in my videos. So just today's video was only focused on the S&P 500 index, but starting next week, we're going to see if there's something really important that I have to talk about in the DXY or in the yields. I'm going to mention that. So subscribe to the channel. And one thing, last thing before just close the video, let me know in the comment section, what's your opinion, what's your feeling for the next week? What do you think? Are you bullish or bearish? Just let me know, either bullish or bearish. All right, see you guys soon. Thanks. Bye for now.